Our topic today is ethnographic journalism and how digital media right now around us. Ethnography, of course, belongs to anthropology. So there are two disciplines in this issue. The first one, ethnography. Ethnography belongs to anthropology. It means if you like to know something about culture or community, you need to stay at least 6 months with community, okay, alongside community and culture. So maybe you can more deeply talk about those culture if you stay at least 6 months, okay? That's ethnography. Maybe some say it's called field work, okay? So you need to stay at least 6 months in the community like Namida, okay? Maybe 2 months, 3 months, okay? It's called field work, but that's not very good. Field work, not very good. Ethnography, the very good ethnography, at least 6 months. Okay? Maybe you need to stay more longer, 2 months, 2 years, or 6 years. So you can get more very interesting data about the community. So you just need to describe. It is called like thick description to describe the people, the culture. If you stay at least 6 months in the community, so ethnography is something like that. What is journalism? Journalism, according to the Kontemporer and Total Center, if you read anyone here, read 9 or 10 or 11 elements of journalism. The very important one is like you need to say something about truth. Okay? You just need to talk about truth. Journalism about truth. And maybe the next issue is you need to advocate. You need to fight against the marginalized and of course advocate people. Advocate local culture. Advocate trading culture. Okay? Capitalism right now, you know, capitalism is something like by nature tends to marginalize people, tends to marginalize community, whatever. Today we are under capitalism era, right? So if you don't have any like, you know, anything, something like that. So capitalism tends to marginalize. That's the reality. Okay? I think that's my point. So you need to consider that ethnography journalism is very important in understanding community and culture, and it is what Kamila conducted in Paninggahan. So we really like to listen directly from Kamila how she conducted her research by using what you call like ethnographic journalism, and you can see later her photos from the media, media culture. Okay, I think that's all my introduction. We just need to focus on ethnographic journalism and how digital media today is very, very convenient around us. Thank you very much.
First, I'm going to describe the difference between anthropology and ethnography. So, ethnography, like Mr. Tapon said, is like a branch of anthropology. But anthropology, on one hand, is long-term and it has a lot of outsider perspectives. So it doesn't really involve the researcher being in the community. On the other hand, ethnography is a lot more short-term compared to anthropology. Like anthropology can take, some anthropologists take like 20 years or more researching the subject, but ethnography can simply take maybe a few years, sometimes even a few months. It's very focused on the researcher being involved in the community, so not looking at it from an outside perspective, but being an active participant. It uses a lot of qualitative research, so you have to really, because you're living with the community, you have to really describe what you feel, what you see, what you smell, what you taste, and it's very different way of thinking. For example, what I've seen a lot in Myanmar is that your traditional foods are very much connected to the traditional foods that you grow. So everything has coconuts, rice, chilies, onions, garlic, and bananas. Like, that's a lot of your staple foods. And it was really interesting for me to not only see the process of your cooking, but also taste it. Like, the women were describing to me, like, oh, this is what we do, and then you eat it like this, and then you take a little bit of that, and it's like, it's very common for you guys, but for seeing it from an outside perspective, it was something completely new and basically playing around with what I'm saying. And it's based on the participants' experiences, so prejudices and biases can play a part. Like, we all have our own upbringing, our own backgrounds. I found myself like bringing in my own personal experiences into my ethnographic research, but you just have to acknowledge it that, oh, this isn't part of the community, this is my own experience, so you just have to work around that. And then I used a quote that describes a bit more of the difference. So ethnography is a lived and experienced by people somewhere sometime, while anthropology is an inquiry into the conditions and possibilities of human life into the world. And relating ethnography to journalism, I think, is very important because journalism, like Mr. Kapan said, is to bring out the truth and to bring out the stories, and ethnography has the same goal. You don't want to see a culture from the outside, but you really want to show people through journalism how this culture works through the perspective of those people that live here. An example I've used is Anthony Bourdain. He's my idol. I think Bourdain is kind of like an ironic example because fashion and everything, but what he always advocated for was traveling, not just for your own personal entertainment, but for experiencing other cultures. And the way he did that was through food, because he was a chef. So he started a TV series, he wrote a documentary, he wrote several books, and realizing now that I'm older, he really, I think, brought journalism to a more modern landscape, not just through writing, but also through storytelling, through food, through pictures, through videos, and just a different media. So I think it's really important. It always reminds me that journalism doesn't always have to be an article, because from my personal experience, I used to not like writing before I started working for a magazine. Like, it's very boring for me sometimes. So I'm always reminded that journalism can be a picture, like a really powerful picture, or a poem, or a song, like a traditional song, or a video, a short documentary, anything. Journalism could be anything that is valuable to the community and to anybody that reads it or sees it also. My supervisor is telling me obviously because there's so many Rumagarams there, I'm going to get to see the history and the culture behind that. I'm going to get to see tea plantations, coffee plantations, and then hopefully palm oil plantations, because that's something I'm very interested in. And then I'm going to also be taken to the university there, which I've heard is quite new, so that's fun. And they were telling me that it was started by women to kind of offset the problems surrounding that now. So instead of having people leave and go to Padang or Jakarta to study, that they started a university there so then students can stay in their local village if they want to. So that's usually how it is in every single place that I go to. It's just different things, and then I kind of find a way to combine it all together. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, I think I will.